How it feel to be a dad, how it feel to be a man. You provide by any means, and we sticking to the plan. Yeah, I do this for my seed. Come and listen, come and see. Remember, it was just me. Now it's all about me. Lead by example. This for my child. I swear that I got you for life. Went from the court to talking about buckets. Now we talking Pampers and wipes. I really love this though. Look at you and get inspired. You the fuel to my fire. Come here, let me change your diaper. Diaper Dad.
What is good, everyone? Good morning, good afternoon. This is your boy GQ.
And your boy Boog. What's going on?
This is Diaper Dad podcast. And we back in the flesh. We got something in the making for y'all. We're going to keep it on the hush. But Boog, what's good, man?
Oh, yeah, we definitely got to keep it on the hush. Hey, man, everything good. Everything on the up and up. I've been to my new fitness journey. I started boxing this week.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You said today's day number 3.
Yeah, today's day 3 in a row.
So hold on. It was, what, you did it, Tuesday, Wednesday, today?
Yeah, so what happened was I signed up Monday. So how I got into it was I downloaded the virtual box on the Oculus and shit, right? I'm like, fuck it, this is a good workout because I woke up the next day super sore. So all right, bet. Let me see if I can get in here and do it, bro. I found this little boxing gym, signed up for some classes. He's like, cool, you can start tomorrow if you want. I was like, bet. I'm in there. First day, solid. Second day, I'm like, all right. Oh, last night, matter of fact, I was like, yo, this. He's like, my knuckles were swollen. I had to ice my hands last night last night just to get through today because I was like, today I gotta get a class this morning because I get tatted this afternoon, so I had to burn it out. So I went in there, did that, bro. I went there today and I was throwing punches and I was like, yo, my wrist is gonna break. Given moment, like my hands just couldn't take it anymore.
They say boxing is like one of the best workouts, man. Those guys are in some of the best shape ever.
Bro, that shit and it's really a full body workout. All the way from your knuckles all the way down your forearms, shoulders. Keep your hands up.
You
Staying
finally
low, moving.
You got the tat on your legs?
Yep.
Hey, I finished my stomach actually I think it was Monday.
There you go. See, this is my coming out party. So I've been sitting down for 2 years. I had to like reinvent myself. I had this like urge to just go get a tat. So
yo, did it hurt?
Got tattoo today.
Did the leg
bro.
hurt?
Nah. Surprisingly, like it really was. It was annoying. It was annoying, but it wasn't like anything like I was like shit. Like this is unbearable. It was probably the easiest tats I've had. I had on my whole body.
I always hear that about the leg because you got it right above your kneecap, right?
About 2-3 inches above my kneecap, so it's like on my thigh.
Bro, did I not just say above your kneecap?
Yeah, it's right above my kneecap. When I think of right above my kneecap, it's like literally.
It's on your thigh. It's on your thigh, kind of.
Yeah, no, it's on my thigh.
Yeah, I always hear that.
It was easy.
Everyone always says they're like, yo, the thigh tattoo or right there where you got it, it's easy. I'd be like, dang, I don't know, man.
This joint, it was smooth. So I was in there about 2 hours and got in, got out, and I was ready. I felt better. I felt better about I felt I had like a little itch to get a tat, and I was like, yo, let's go ahead and just do it. Yeah, I got it. I'm cool now for like a cool couple months. So
okay.
But let's get into tonight.
What's popping, man?
So everyone knows this Kanye, and
I'm back on that guy.
Kim doing them dirty. Kim not inviting him to the birthday party. Then apparently Kim's Ye got put out a hit out on her, some more shit, and then some other shit popped up. Was he put some on his Instagram about how North is now on TikTok without his approval. So then it started getting me thinking, right? So I was like, yo, let's bring it to the. So my question is, how should you move and how should you react when you're co-parenting and the other that you don't approve of?
I think it's a tough situation. Co-parenting itself is just tough. It's tough. Just like Drizzy said, me and my significant other got a co-parent. And what he say?
Some shit about I can't think of it on the top of my head, but I know what you're
Dang, this is
saying.
the first time I could not recite a Drake line, man. I can't
Yeah,
believe I couldn't do it.
yeah, you fuck it up.
I fucked it up. I did, but I think it's a tough situation. I can't really speak on it. I just think it's tough because just parenting alone, even when you're with someone, people have different ways of doing things, right? And that's why
Right.
people bump heads. They will raise a certain way, you will raise a certain way. So you think the way that you were raised and certain things that you believe is the right way, vice versa for them. Uh, I just think it's tough. I really don't know, man. I don't need to know what to think because I really don't, man. I don't even know what to say. Like if I was co-parenting and they did something that I didn't really approve of, it's like yeah, I want to be angry, but like what is the intent, right? Because like that's
Right.
that's the word that's been like going around today. At work and at this training that I've been taking. It's just like what is people's intent, right? If their intent isn't to harm the child or you, is it really that bad?
Yeah.
And that's just the
Yeah.
way I look at it. That's the way I look at it. If it's on some shit where it's like, yo, Shane said, you can't have an iPad, right? Next thing you know, I come to pick her up. She got an iPad. It's like, yo, we already discussed this. Like, I feel like iPads do X, Y, and Z to the brain or whatever my thought process is, right? Now I feel
Right.
like the intent was to get back at me or just do it spiteful or whatever. But I think at the end of the day, it's just getting down to the details and understanding what was the reason for them doing that and is their intent for the best. What's your take on it?
Eh, I mean, how would I react? I'm gonna have some words for you
But
because
like, what?
what
What's hold on, hold
the
on.
thing about it
What's
though,
having some words though?
huh?
What's the reason for having some words, right?
Because I
Because
don't because I don't way this shit's shifted. Like I don't like the way this is going down. Number one, internet is a scary place. We know this. The internet is a fucked up world,
hold on,
right?
a quick, but let me stop you real quick. Are we just talking about in general them doing something? Or are you talking about TikTok? Right? Because
I
I thought
mean,
we were talking about in general, like we co-parenting it. Because the question was, you were like, what if your significant other, your other co-parent does something that you don't approve? But then you just jumped into the internet. So I was like, are we going off of the internet or
well, I'm
TikTok?
just, I'm just, I'm just tailing them two together because that was the example that was given. But if say if it was something else, say if it was like the iPad or I don't want them watching TV, they're watching TV. You still got to kind of have some type of communication level where can be able to voice your opinion and feel like you're being heard, right? Like it's
No,
one thing
definitely.
about it's one to voice your opinion and be like, all right, Shane, shut the fuck down, or like it's cool, like whatever. And there's another one that's like, all right, okay, cool. How about you? How can we make this work? And that's the part that I wonder why is that so hard in relation, like in co-parenting,
What part? What part?
the communication piece. Like a lot of people
Oh, I
like
think
communication
the
piece.
intent isn't good. I think that's why. I think people are doing stuff out of spite. Because like how you said, how hard is it to be like, hey, Boog, Shane, I got Nova Rosa iPad because her class is doing X, Y, and Z, and the best way for her to do it is with an iPad. I know you don't
Right.
approve it, but I got it just because it's easier. Instead of getting the iPad, me being upset, and then you explaining it to me. It's like that's I think that's the disconnect you talking about. Like, why couldn't we have that communication up front? And I think sometimes people are doing it because their intent isn't good. They just doing it out of being petty sometimes.
Yeah. But when has petty ever led to something right? Because it's like I don't know. I just and I'm not the best communicator in the world. But at some point in co-parenting, you got to have that I don't know how, like, how could you even establish it, especially when, like, say you end up in a relation. Even though we talk about this all the time, relationships and parenting are two different types of aspects of life, right? Like, how
Yeah.
bridge the gap to where it's like, all right, cool, I don't fuck with you, I really don't fuck with you, but we need, at the end of the day, we still have a child to raise together, right? Um, and yeah, I don't know, man. Why is it so? I don't know. This communication shit is like, it's very difficult to communicate. Believe it or not, like, if you look at it from like a from outside, bird's eye view, like, of a situation, like trying to communicate, like, put yourself in the shoes. Man, like, yeah, well, I feel this way. Like, it's very easy for us to go to our homies, like, yo, I feel this way. But it's like, when it comes to, like, confronting the person you want to confront, like, have the situation with, like, for instance, like, your significant other, right? Your wife, your girlfriend, your fiance. We rather just go to our homeboys and bitch to our homeboys about it versus just, like, effectively communicating it up.
Well, I would say what type of person you are. Yo, and this kind of ties back to the training I've been taking at work. Like, are you a confrontational person? Right? Because I am. Right? I'm always going to say something. I'm always going to step up, say what I have to say, no matter if it's just my significant other, me on the court, or anything. Like, so that's why, like, we were taking this chart about, like, being confrontational, and, like, what type of person are you? Are you a person to, like, discuss it, engage it, kind of, like, play it off, or, like, put it to the side? And I think that's what really it comes down to when we're talking about, like, communication, because some people, they don't like confrontation. So if something bothers them or something that makes them uncomfortable in a relationship, sometimes they won't say anything. You know what I mean? Especially if they know that person is going to act a certain way or give them an attitude. They might not be that type of person. But then some people like me, I'll just speak up and be like, yo, you know what? This is how I feel. Or like, yo, I don't think that's right. Or blah blah blah, because it's okay to have uncomfortable conversations, right? And I think
Oh
that's
yeah.
something that we got to make a norm, because everyone's like, I remember when I first started talking to Jasmine, we will have disagreements, and people think they're arguments. They're not arguments, they just disagreement. We just disagreeing on something, a topic, that's all, and that's normal. That's what people do.
Yeah.
But people always be like, yo, just because we're disagreeing, it's an argument now. I'm like, whoa, hold on. Like, we're not arguing, because we're not saying I'm not trying to talk over you or say things that are hurtful or go back and forth. Like, you're saying your opinion, I'm saying my
Right.
opinion. You
Right.
don't agree with it. I don't agree with you. What's wrong?
Let me ask you this. So, would you would you say that there's a parallel between being confrontational and being assertive?
Parallel to being confrontational.
Because, like, being assertive, like, there was a podcast you sent me a long time ago. Um,
I remember it
and
was nice and neat. It was nice and
nice
neat.
and
It was
neat, and they
about,
were
right,
talking about being assertive, right? And
assertive, correct.
how, like, how you kind of want to initiate yourself, put yourself in those moments to where you have to initiate, conversation when it comes to certain, maybe a way, just meeting new people, putting yourself out socially, whatever. It's like you still want to be assertive in your relationship, lose that piece. And so with that, I see the parallel with being confrontational is that you're effect because I wouldn't say you're effectively uh giving your point, because I could be confrontational and I could just be confrontational and not really, what I mean, know how to effectively communicate, right? So go ahead.
I wanted to correct myself, right? Because confrontational means you're just looking for you look for the conflict, or you look for the disagreement, no matter what, right? Just like how you said, like, it doesn't even matter the communication, like, you just basically being direct. So
Right.
I wouldn't say I'm confrontational. I would say I invite anything that's uncomfortable or anything that is a conflict sometimes. Like, I can invite it. And there is sometimes where I don't invite it, but more of the case, I'm always willing to discuss a conflict if there is one. So
So
I
you're
did
being
want,
assertive.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Okay. All right.
confrontational is right, like how you said, just bringing something
Yeah.
up. You don't even know how to communicate, just saying it just to say it.
They're literally, and I think with in it's easy how that Nice and Neat podcast is running in my mind right now and how it runs through, right? Because they were talking about being assertive and how it builds your confidence up, right? So when you get in those moments, you get into a room full, you're in a room full of new people, you're able to effectively walk around and introduce yourself and not be that antisocial clam sitting in the back, like sitting in the corner, like minding your own business.
Yeah,
Um, and the reason why I bring that up is because in parenthood, you kind of got to have that confidence to step up and say, "Hey, I'm not rocking with that." You know what I mean? Or I'm not feeling that. Like when it comes to your partner, and we think that educational is the correct way of doing things because what we were raised is right to us, just like you said, and what was raised to her is right to her. And
yeah,
we can nah, if this is not any way we talk about it, then if there's not any way we were raised about it, then it's not right. You know what I mean? And then that's when we become confrontational versus being assertive, where it's like, oh, wait a minute. Wait, I thought we talked about was having an iPad and you know what I mean? We were supposed to have we had this conversation and we were all in agreement. Now all of a sudden shit changed and I wasn't aware of it.
yeah.
Difference.
Nah, I definitely agree with that. Being assertive is big. You know what I mean? Once again, shout out to Nice and Neat podcast. Uh, you know, that in general is being a man, and I think uh, being a dad, just being a father in general, there's certain aspects you gotta, I think, mold yourself and create to be the best father you could be. And I think in season one, we kind of talked about like if you're a good if you're a good man, could you be a good father? Right? Something along those lines,
Yeah,
right?
if you yeah.
Right? So
Yep.
like certain characteristics like being assertive, uh somewhat being patient. You know, that's something big we've been talking about too. Communication. I feel like those are things that as a man, if you develop those and you understand those earlier, I think you'll probably be somewhat more fitting and more welcoming parenthood. What do you think? Because like those are some of the main things that we talk about, right? Being patient, communication, uh, like even like we're just talking about parents doing certain things. We basically right now we talked about communication was like the first thing that we pointed at when a parent does something when they're co-parenting.
Right. I mean, it doesn't and I think it gets harder as you are when there's more distance between you, right? Because then it's like you're not even around here 24/7. Like yeah, you picking them up every weekend, but or every other week. Like, how do you become assertive? In those moments, right? When you're, yeah, yeah. So and so came home was when I picked so and so up. He was telling me that you was doing this. You was bringing the most common situation, like when uh when the other parent starts dating somebody else, right? There's situations where kids fuck. Oh, mommy's uh Mr. Darrell came over and he was you know what I mean? Like, how do you go about that situation without being like, you know what you fucking slime ball? Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? That's the confrontational way of looking at it. Be like, yo, when was it okay for us to start bringing other people around our kids? You know, you're saying like, yo, so uh over and told me that there's this so and so
Yeah,
understand that it was. I mean, I didn't know we were on that type of time. You know, we
correct.
talk about this? You know, like that's the assertive way of doing it. But a lot of times we always our mind goes like this, and we just like, nah, you what? But
Obi always says
it's
it, and I always use it, is emotions over logic, right? The logical way is like you just explained, like us just, why can't we just have a conversation and be like, hey, I heard this, that, and the third. Can we talk about this? But I think our emotions just get so caught in the situation, our pride, our ego, our feelings, sometimes are intertwined with each other, and that causes us to burst out and say certain things, act a certain way that we somewhat can we can sometimes, what's the word I'm looking for, regret. You know what I mean? Like, dang, like I could have really talked to her a better way, or I could have handled that easier. But it's emotions over logic.
yeah. Eh, I know. And the crazy thing is that like if you're not an effective communicator as a man, like before you have kids, you're gonna become one when you have kids. Like you're gonna have because if not, there's men out here in this world who don't like to speak their mind at all, and they like to just sit in the corner and like, oh well, Carrie said it was fine, so I guess it's okay. Like you know what I mean? Versus like stepping up to the plate, like nah, that's not. I'm not feeling that. You know what I mean? I always say I about that like. I had to start telling like I started having to figure out how to tell Ashley like if I disagreed with something, like because you keep the peace around you, like you keep everybody happy, but it's like it's your inner peace. Yo, I keep saying this shit, and this is something I read the other day, and it was talking about men is that we oftentimes we keep the peace around us, but we never take care of the peace inside of ourselves, right? Meaning that like we rather see everyone else happy and just feel fucked up inside
Hmm.
versus not saying do the adverse and fuck the world up and then but just making sure you're at peace before you can bring peace to everybody else. You know what I mean? So if it comes to a situation where you're trying to make everybody happy and everyone's depending on you and it's not going the way you think it is, you know what I mean? Step up and say something to bring peace to yourself. To like eating, compartmentalizing, saying like we always keep it inside as we build up, and then we get to that point where it's just we hit a release button and it's just like we just blow down on anybody.
Hmm.
Um, so it's all about keeping that within. You know what I mean? Like that I learned the hard way.
Quick question, because I was just thinking about this, just playing a little bit devil's advocate. Do you really believe that to be a good parent, you gotta communicate, right? And when I say communicate, I mean communicate with your spouse, right? Because when I'm thinking about that, right, that just, if you don't communicate or you're not a good communicator, that's just tension between you and your spouse, right? That's the relationship, right?
Right.
That's you guys trying to parent together, but you still could be a good parent though, right?
Yeah, you can still be a good parent, but you're not gonna
Yeah,
be
yeah.
as good of a parent. You're not gonna be
You
as
could,
good of a parent. I feel like.
so hold on,
Uh,
because the way I think of it is like, as good of a parent is only if things are going right with you and your significant other. But shit, if shit ain't going right and you don't communicate well with her, you can still be a great dad. Cause I'm thinking to myself like, yo, dang,
it's
if
the
I wasn't able,
it's the total
really,
package.
you think you got to
Like
have a total package to be a good
and
parent?
and the thing, no, not to be a good parent. But what I'm saying is total package, like the communication. It's all tied. It's all tied in together, and that's where the gray area comes in, is because it's like it's just like being on a basketball team, right? Like
Yeah,
we both have our goal is to
yeah,
win, right?
yeah.
But if and you got something and you just doing something wrong and I in my mind I'm like, yo, I have to communicate to this to them like, yo, you fucking like you're fucking up. Like we need to win this game. Stop shooting the fucking rock, pass the ball, do some other shit. You know what I mean? It's say it effectively. That what I'm saying, say it
Nah,
effectively to change us to get to the to the to get it to make sure we get the end result we're looking for. It's just like parenting. We both have a common goal, which is raising our child.
Yeah,
We both have with each other to make some middle ground in order for us to achieve the end goal, which is to raise a successful whatever that end goal is to you.
yeah. But I go back to the game. Even if you're fucking up, you still could be a good player, right? You still can
And
be
that's
that
what I
guy.
said. I said you can still be but you can, like I said, with parenthood, be a good parent, but you're not going to be as good of a parent. Is what I'm saying.
I know,
Like,
but I guess I just wanna pick on that because I want to really know that because I'm thinking to myself like, yo, just if I was a bad spouse, things didn't work out. At what aspect does that limit me from being a great parent, right? Because if I'm a great parent, that's all that matters is me doing the best I can and laying all my resources out for my child. And I believe I can still do that if I'm not good or not on the great terms or co-parenting with someone.
so is so let me ask, so if you're laying all your resources out, would it let me ask you this question. Would it affect having an effective an effective speak fuck, if you can have
Effective.
an effective communication style, is that something you would want to teach your child? Right?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
so
definitely right.
so so when you're and you want them to be able to effectively communicate within a relationship, right? They may not know it now, but like when they see mommy and daddy kissing or hugging, like, or being able to talk conversation, you know what I mean? Little things, little social cues they can pick up. Is that a resource that you would want to have? That
Yeah,
you
but
would you
that's
lay out?
but that's but that's also saying that if you're a good communicator, your child is going to be a good communicator. That's not
That's
factual.
not yeah, it's not factual, but I mean it's something to it would be that's important to me. Can't if it came down to issue down the line, like okay, then with my child not being an effective communicator, then that's something different. You know what I mean? And that's a whole different ball game. But what I'm saying is, at least I laid the tools out for him to show him how to make it happen. You know what I mean? How to talk to women, how to communicate, how to effectively communicate when he's feeling upset. You know what I mean? Effectively communicate when he's happy. You know what I mean? Shit like that. That's a resource you want to lay out to your child. So on the adverse, let's take the flip. You're not an effective communicator, right? You're really
Yeah,
Jasmine, y'all just butt heads about everything. You're arguing a lot and you're doing it in front of the kids. Now you have kind of it gives your child uh this unstable view on like how to effectively communicate. Like, oh well, I see daddy every time he's mad, he's raising his voice, he's cussing at mommy, he's losing his mind, which is I mean, we sometimes it's hard to do, believe it or not, but sometimes people do argue in front of their children. Okay, that's fine,
yeah, of
but
course.
that's totally fine. But that's what I'm saying is like you were to when you're mad, you or maybe God, you raise your hand to your woman. You know what I mean? Like there's certain things that you want to teach your child, and that's why I said you can still be a good parent and give your child the world, but you won't be as good if you don't properly show how you show your child how they should be treating other people in the world, let alone their spouse, their significant other, whatever this is, whoever the person is. That's how I look at it.
That's a good point. I could definitely agree with that. I guess in the long term, it's gonna help them be efficient in relationships and stuff like that. Um,
Yeah, and that's the only. And like I said, they're not going to know it now because kids just learned how to talk yesterday. You know what I mean? That's I get that, but like they always say that 2 to 3 years was like the mind's like sponges. So now it's like even when it's not even in like a relationship type, whatever you want to social experience for them. Maybe it's when they go to preschool and they want to make friends. You know what I
mhm.
mean? You know, fuckers they get mad and they go bite somebody. You know, or that's their way of showing they're angry or they're mad or throw something like sending ball into the world. Him over here getting mad, throwing shit across the room. Don't call his mom. You know what I mean? Like that's not what we want. That's not the product. that's not the productivity we want out of him. You know what I mean? We want him to be able to say,
Gotcha.
"I'm mad. I want to sit down. I need someone to talk to about it." You know what I mean?
Nah, nah, definitely. I definitely can agree on that. That was a great point. Just looking at the long haul, you know what I mean? Later down in life, how's that going to affect them? That was a great point.
But it's still hard as a man. We've been molded. We've been into being those the breadwinners, those who are, you know what I mean, who the world depends on them to make everyone else happy, and we really put ourselves on the back burner. You know what I mean? Um,
I think
and we
that's, I think some of that stuff is just the emotion part, keeping it in. That's, I can understand, yeah, some of that stuff can change, but some of the characteristics of a man, that stuff might not change. You know what I mean? Like, I think from, a man is always probably going to be like the breadwinner, majority of the time, the head of the household, because he's the provider. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I feel like that's what every woman is somewhat looking for. Like I said, somewhat looking for. It might be other things, but I think those things might not change. Now, the emotion part is something that I think that a lot of men need to work on. But I don't know if we can change every characteristics about a man just because, some of the things that women do, we want them to continue to do, right? They're caretakers. We don't want
Oh
them to,
yeah.
you know what I mean? We don't want them to change their characteristics be be a better
Yep. Here
wife.
you go. Here you go.
Uh,
No, of course, no. We don't. I'm not saying we want to change all our characters. But what I do think is that we need to be able to, like I said, the emotions piece into communicating our emotions,
so let me
to
let me let
communicating.
me
I'm sorry.
let me ask you this too, because I was watching. Shout out to See the Thing Is podcast, because they touch on everything, and I think some of the weight needs to be put on the significant other too, right? Because yes, a person might not communicate certain things, might not be the best communicator, might say things when things happen instead of saying them before. But you as a significant other, or if you sincerely care about me, how come you can't ask that question, or you can't make the initiative to be like, hey, like, tell me, like, what really are your needs? You know what I mean? Or like, what, like, and they were talking about, they were like, yo, women, because they were talking about women listen, right? And then one girl was like, nah, we don't always listen because we always think we know what's best for a man. Right? They always think
Oh
they know
wow.
what's best for a man, right? And then one
Yeah.
woman was like, yo, but that's not always true, right? Because
Right.
a man might express like, yo, I want this, that, and a third. This is how I feel. They might hear him, but they still think, I know what's best. I know what to do. But it's like, why can't women always take the initiative to be like, hey, tell me this, that, and the third. Let me get an understanding. Because sometimes women are better communicators than men. I'm not saying everyone. I'm just saying sometimes they are. Vice versa too. Some men are better communicators than women. But if women are so much mature at a certain age, like they always say, I'm saying sometimes they can take that initiative to get a better understanding of a man, right? And not always put the blame on us. Because I feel like if we're together as partner, like our main goal is for us to understand each other, right?
Right.
And for us to understand each other, it's not always a one-way street. It's not always, well, this is how I feel. This is what I do. Why can't it never be, hey, yo, how do you feel? Like, what are some of the things that you are actually looking for? Why don't you feel this way? Or like, what things can I do? So I do think sometimes it is left on the other partner to do their due diligence too. You know what I mean? Just like I would say the same thing for us. We need to do our due diligence too. Like, yo, babe, what can I do, yo? All right, I see that this is bothering you. Okay, all right, let me do better. This, that, and the third. But that's my
You
little
know,
tip.
and you know what it is. It goes back to what I was just saying before, that we don't speak up about it. Like having having the notion of, I mean, like sometimes you have to explain to you got you almost got to have like a cry for help. And the reason why I say that is because women know that men take shit on the chin a lot different than they do, and
Hmm.
we're very good at keeping it in and not saying anything about it. And I think that's where the whole confliction. Because women just think they're gonna be, you know what I mean? Like it happens all the time, especially when you get into parenthood. Parenthood was the first 3 months. Know everything. I read every book. I know everything. That I know it all. Not necessarily true. You know what I mean? Like we've been parents together, especially if it's your first child. Like no, we've been parents the same amount of time. Different than me. Then it goes down to like the
Help
whole
you.
nurturing.
I told you
Being,
this, man. You gonna get killed, man. They held the
it's
baby
fine.
for 9 months,
I
yo.
get that. No, but I get that. I understand. I'm in at any way, shape, form, fashion when it
No, but
comes.
that's why
I
they think they know it all.
Yeah. No, this is what I'm saying. I, this is my statement. I'm gonna stand on it. I don't discredit you for making changes to your body for us to have human or humans in my situation. You know what I mean? Like I thank you to this day. Like you know what I mean? Like what, especially if it was a hard pregnancy. You know what I mean? With not moving, this and the third. However, what I will say is this child is here now, right? You've never done this before. You've never, everything that you're about to embark on, if it's your first, you've never done. You've never done, right? And I'm here
Let me
with you. So at 2:15 p.m., our time started as parents. We've been there. We're there. What makes it different for me than you, right?
I think it's that
Bitch, like I,
that emotional
huh?
attachment. Oh, quick. I'm gonna give you a quick example and tell me if I'm wrong. Because I don't want to be on this too long. So
Yeah.
you and somebody else hold a basketball, right? I mean, you hold the basketball for 9 months, right? You hold it like
Okay.
it comes from your
Okay.
body, right? The
Okay.
minute it come out, your partner's like, "Yo, this how you shoot this shit," right? Like this is how you do it. You like,
No,
hold
but that's what.
on.
It's and to rebuttal to what you just said. A lot of times we don't walk around here acting like we know everything. Keep it real. Keep it real.
No, no, we
No,
don't.
we
But I'm
don't.
saying
Right.
that
So
one
so
that
so
one moment when they're trying to tell you like, yo, you got to
and
shoot it this way. You like, this is
and
my
that's where that's where your upbringing comes out, right? Like you know what I mean? Like it may not be a stronghold. Like hey, we should be doing it this way. You never should walk around. How can I put this without sounding crazy? I don't think you shouldn't be out here demanding saying this is how it should be done. That's all I'm saying. Because what man you you know what I mean in your situation, that's where the team aspect and back all in. This is where the communication piece comes back into play, right?
yeah,
This is so we've never done this before, right? It's, example, sleep training. Who won't go to sleep? You got one parent says let him cry it out. The other parent's like, no, I need to go get him.
correct,
It's
correct,
very
correct,
common.
correct.
We went through the same shit. I was like, Ashley, just let his ass cry. Bo, let his ass cry it out. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? And he'll eventually fall back to sleep. But she's like, no, I got to go get him. I'm saying we should do this. You're saying this is what we should do. How do we come together and figure this out together to effectively make sure he can fall asleep through the night? You know what I mean? It sounds like a very small thing to talk about, but it's very common, and when it's a very stressful moment when you're in the moment. You know what I mean? Um, she carried both for 9 months. I didn't put the bun in the oven. You know what I mean? Like I just this is what I think we should do. I mean, so it's not. It should never be like a this is the way things should go. It should be more so like, hey, I think we should go about this route, and it comes back. To what you said like maybe we should start asking the question more of like, do you think about this? How do you think about if we move in this direction? You know what I mean? But it doesn't really happen. So I feel like sometimes with women, it's like they feel like they got everything in the bag, and oh well, maybe I should take into account feels. You know,
I
it's
always think
definitely
I always think you're gonna get killed on this because
it's fine.
the
It's
the
okay.
reason for it is because their intent isn't bad, right? It's not bad. It's not a bad intent. So like anything that they, and I think the part that triggers you is even though it's a team thing and they're saying, hey, this is what I think or this is what I want to do or this is how things go. At the end of the day, their intent it isn't to really make you feel bad. It's to make sure that the child has the best interest. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
so who's to say I don't have my child's best interest? So
No,
right.
I don't think I'm not saying you don't, but I just think it's that emotional.
So
They have they feel like it's just they have a feeling like they know what's best because they have an emotional connection to the children.
so it goes back to what you said before. Like, why isn't a women are mature enough to have that conversation, to have the light bulb go off in their head, like, hey, I should ask him how does he feel about this. Then why doesn't that happen?
Because I feel like when we get around that baby mark where it's changing diapers or bathing them or putting them in the bed or change potty train, it's kind of a one way street, man. Like they
See,
just think they know
so
it all, and that's just it,
see,
man. It's
and
just
that's where this all lies in is that men, most men think like that. Like they just, it's a one way street. Like I'm never going to win this battle, but you can actually, if you do it the right way, you can. It can be very
but let me ask you
satisfying to
this.
you.
Let me ask you this. If she says, "All right, Joe, this is how you change a diaper," you have different ways. You end up doing. I'm just saying, it's hypothetically. You end up doing her way. Everything's all right. She's like, "Yo, this is how you warm a bottle." You have your way, and then finally, you're like, "All right, do it your way. Everything's all right." She's like, "This is how you bathe a child." You have your way. You do it her way. Everything's all right. She's like, "Yo, I think we should get him while he's sleeping because he's crying." You get him 2 months later, he falls asleep. Potty train. Every way that you do, her way works. What I guess what is the issue if the child is completing all the
There's a
milestones?
moment. Maybe there's a time where I inadvertently do it my way, right? So like, hey, you know what I mean? 2 plus 2, 1 plus 3. You know what I mean? 4 plus 0 still equal 4. Like there's the variations of how shit can go.
Yeah,
At the
yeah.
end of the day, as long as the goal, as long as my job's being done, as long as that bottle's warm, maybe I warm it up a different way than you do. Maybe I they certain a different way. Maybe I pour water on their head versus using a washcloth. You know what I mean? And I still no one's drowning, no one's hurt. You know what I mean? Then
Gotcha.
why is it? Then why is it still a problem? You see what I'm saying? That's where it is. It's like that's where it all lies. Is that we think it's a one way street, and if it ain't broke, don't. But there's going to be a time where you get in a moment where you're doing everything, and then say something happens, and you do something that you normally do her way, but you put a twist to it, do it your way, and it just gets done. Everything's fine. The day keeps moving forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
The goal's still met. The child still receives the nurturing and care they need. So why is it an issue?
I guess that's the part that we're trying to
You
figure out. But I guess to us, like, what, I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying, but I want to know, what does that do to you mentally? Like, what is that doing to you? Because, like, I understand, like, for example, me as a coach, I keep telling you, me as an assistant, I keep telling you something, and my way works too, but you always go with another coach's way. I can
Mhm.
tell you what that does to me. It makes me feel like you don't trust me, right? I can express. I know my feelings. Like, I know what I feel. I feel not worthy. I feel less as a coach because I have a way. It works sometimes, but you want to do your way or listen to another coach. So that's why I'm asking you, what does that do to you, and how does that make you feel if it's always being done one way that's not your way?
I don't have a problem. See, the coaching situation though is different because you're talking about an adult version. Say, for instance, okay, take the same situation. Say your boss gets you into it. Your manager, your boss says, "Hey, this is the way things should be done all the time." Right? Say you find like a way or innovative way to revamp the process, and you either get it done quicker or you just find a different way to get it done. Right? It that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't. That necessarily does your manager. You know what I mean? Maybe you just got it done a different way and it worked. You know what I mean? So you just kept doing it that way.
No, but I think so. This is the part that I think you're missing. Your manager continues to tell you that we're going to do it this way. Like you said, you have another way that works out. The day is complete. Everything happens, but he doesn't go with your way, right? Right then and there, as a coworker, you're going to feel like he's not taking my opinion. He's not really listening to me. He's not this, that, and the third. But at the end of the day, it's like, if I do it my way, it's efficient, it works, everybody's good. But I have that feeling of why, if he doesn't do it my way, I have a certain feeling about it. Because if I didn't, it wouldn't really be an issue. I just be like, all right, I found this way. Fuck it. You want to do it your way? Just do it your way. So that's why I was asking you, what is the feeling you have? Because
So
you're saying, all right, I know you got a way, but I also got a way, and we can get this shit done, and everything's okay. Like, niggas is peaches and creams.
and that's my thought process into a lot of shit. You can even ask you like at the end of the day, like in my mind, it's like whatever way works as long as no one's broken, bleeding, crying, whatever. Like you may have your way, I may have my way. Cool. Like that's I understand the job at the end of the day gets done. I guess this is my mind frame. Like my mindset is just I'm not
No, I
more so of
now you're saying two different things though, because I'm saying that one person has a way of doing things. Like you said, they have a way of doing potty training, this, that, and the third. Is everything's peaches and creams. Why are we talking about another way? And what you were saying was, but as a man, I might have a way that works too. So what I was asking you, as a man, if your way doesn't always get accepted or doesn't always get heard or followed through, what's the feeling you have when that doesn't happen and it happens on a recurrent basis? Like, you say something, but every something happens that way, but it's still peaches and creams. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you were
oh,
saying
so
it's all peaches and creams.
you're saying like if I have a moment where I say I want things to be done this way and it gets done a different way, but the job still gets done. What like
Yeah, but you said it's peaches and cream. You That's what I'm saying. I'm a little bit confused because you was like, if the job is done, no matter what, it's peaches and cream. But then you were saying
I'm
earlier,
looking at it from two. I'm looking at it from two different perspectives. That like I'm looking at it for two. I'm looking at if I'm the person that's being told what to do, and then I find my way versus looking at it from the other side where it's how it should be done. And but even if I'm either person, right, I'm still going to have that mindset. Well, at the end of the day, the job's done, right? Like that. If you want to do it your way, you could totally fine. You know what I mean? That's the versatility in us having our own, different unique aspects in parenthood is, I think that's strongly should be encouraged. You know what I mean? It's
I
not.
know,
Oh,
but
I don't think. What am I like? Please. It's like in my mind, it's like whatever gets the job done. How would I feel? I wouldn't
no, I
feel.
guess you confusing me because when you say versatile, that means you have two different ways of actually doing something. Like either way is okay. No, but what you were saying earlier, you were like, you have a way, significant other has a way, but your way always doesn't get accepted. That's what I'm saying. That's not versatile. That's only doing something one way. Versatile means that you have
Yeah.
a different way of doing it, and you can use either way no matter what. Like if you have one way and you don't want to do it today, it's like, all right, we're going to do it the other
No,
way.
I think that's why what I was did I must have misspoken because what I'm saying is the reason why it gets down. And I think I made that comment towards. I had to run this back, but if I mistake, correct me if I'm wrong. I made that comment after you said it's kind of a one-way street. Like if it works, it works.
Gotcha.
Like
Mm-hmm.
thing is, yeah, that's okay, but why is it that way? Why can't it be? You know what I mean? Why is it always a problem when it's when you have a certain way, you know, a certain way, but sometimes we got to be a situation like parenthood is so it's never black and white.
Yeah,
It's very
that's what
situational.
I'm saying. That's what I'm
Like,
exactly what I'm
so
saying.
if we say we get in a situation or a pinch where it's just me and I got to do something, just doing it later, or you know what I mean, or I do something a different way, a little bit still gets done. Like, why can't it be that way? Versus
Hold on,
it's just me.
right there. That right there, what you just explained. What's the feeling you have? Right? That's what I'm asking. Like, what's the feeling? Because you're like, yo, why does it have to be that way? You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm asking you, like, what's the feeling you have to make you feel that way? Like, how do you feel?
Oh, like if I'm questioning, like if I'm questioning why it's done that way.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm
Oh,
saying. Because
I
obviously
mean,
there's a certain feeling you have, just like how I said, like with the coaches or your manager, it's like, all right, I'm gonna feel a certain way at some point. I'm be like, all right, yo, like you ain't. I'm your guy, dog. I got
and
some
that's and
plays.
I think that's what it is that I the same way I trust you in your processes is the same way I feel I the same way I should feel the same trust.
Trust, yeah,
So
yeah, that's
you know what I mean? Like, so my feeling is I honestly don't feel in the moment. I just do, right? Like I just get it done. Like parenthood is just one of those things you just got to get done with certain stuff. Like it's some things just have. I'll deal
Mhm.
with the conversation later. Like you know what I mean? I don't my kid like when my kids like if they like if for some reason both of them love to like stall their asses like I get them an ass to get some dress. Sometimes they like to stall them or say I see someone giving a hard time or I gotta go get someone to focus. I just go get them and do it and just get it done. I'm a parent. Like I'm not gonna conversate with you. I'm your parent. We need to get this done now, right? So we're
Yeah.
gonna go do it. So if it's different than how it's normally done, it's just the way the situation went. You know what I mean? Say somebody is throwing a fit because they don't want to get dressed, or it's in the morning. She does not. She leaves the house. She wants to leave the house in her pajama shirt every day. Some days you just it's just it's the craziest shit. Like sometimes she doesn't want to get dressed. I'm a very you want to fall out. Come here. We're gonna go get this done so we can be over with and you can go about your day and you can forget about this in 20 minutes. You know what I mean? Um, so I don't like the.
She,
It's
and
just not.
she has y'all got a routine with them, right? Like they go over their
Oh yeah,
grandparents. They wake up every morning and go over there, right?
she doesn't give a shit. Yeah, they don't. It's I gotta film it. I'm gonna film this shit and I'm gonna put it on a pile one day. I'm gonna bring this shit. It's probably gonna happen tomorrow. But she
One
does not. Go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead. Good. I'm gonna
No,
say
I'm
after
just
you.
saying she does get dressed. So if it comes down to a moment where it's like, no, like you have to get dressed. Like there's no like if and buts about it. We just gotta go get it done. You know what I mean? Whether the job's still gonna get done. That's the point I'm trying to out to this.
One thing I would say though, shout out to that boy got knowledge. They were talking about this too. They were talking about having a 9 to 5 and having being an entrepreneur, right? And one person was like, "Yo, but that 9 to 5 give you that structure." And I was like, "You damn right, you damn right, right?" And one thing I notice about kids, especially at this age, they need structure. They
And you
need
know
some
what's
some type of that's why, like, actually, school is like, I'm thinking to myself, like, damn, school really good for the kids, man. It gives them really that structure to be like, this is what I have to do, right? And
Right.
the earliest you can do that, I think is the best, because one thing I noticed about Nova, when Shorty got off her schedule in the middle of December because it was the holidays, daycare was closed. It's like, yo, she kind of like fell back into like wanting to be over her grandma house, not wanting to do this, not wanting to do that. I'm like, yo, listen, the minute daycare open, we there because we got to get you on a structure, shorty.
See, kids at this age, and I was talking to Bo's therapist about this, his speech therapist about this. Kids at this age, they actually look for structure. They actually look for some type of scheduling because it gives them something to look forward to. So
Yeah.
it was like, okay, cool. Like Bo is not and I always talk about Bo. Cassidy ain't a saint, but Cassidy, you know what I mean? It's completely
She
different.
do her thing. She do what she got to do.
She's very independent. Worry about her. I can leave her alone. And I say that to say this, that like letting Bo have free time is not always good. It's 90% bad. Not say 90. I say about 75, because his mind is just on a bang, basically. Like he's all over the place. He's just ready to go. Got all this energy. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do this. I want to do that. You know what I mean? Versus having a structure. So we break. So now, like, what we do is we break up their day. So like we'll go wake up in the morning, eat breakfast, then maybe give them like a half hour of free time, right? Just let them go do whatever. Then we'll go do an activity. Then maybe we'll watch a movie. Then we'll let them have half hour free time while we get lunch together. They'll go take a nap. You know what I mean? It gives them something to look forward to. Let's get back on at the top, because now with this whole structure thing, right? So now you're in a structure. So in an event that Nova Rose something, right? And Jazz was like, no, I want it done this way. And you just done, right?
Hmm.
It wasn't exactly how she wanted it done, but it gets done. And she raises a concern. You know, say throw raise a concern. Don't you? Wouldn't you feel a way that she doesn't trust you in your ability to make adjustments? Is that an effective way of putting it?
Yeah, I think that's an effective way to put it.
Just
You're right.
like with your manager, right?
Yeah, they're
You
not
trust in your
trusting.
managers. You trust
Yeah,
your managers, but at the end of the day, I got the job done, and now you're yelling at me for getting the job done. It's like, damn, you can't trust me to meet the end goal, whether it be your way or not.
I definitely think I will feel a certain way. Luckily, I think we haven't had a situation like that in a good while, because I think one of the biggest part is like we're kind of on the same page. I think we're not on the same page with COVID sometimes, but for the most part, like I said, Jasmine has definitely um, just kind of been on the same page, and I've kind of just been on the same page with her too, and that just helps out with us not getting, I guess, frustrated if one another does something else. You know what I mean? Like, for example, like Jasmine always want me to put a hat on Nova Rose. We talked about this, right?
Right.
But I'm like, yo, the hat gonna mess up her hair. But what I do now is I bring her to daycare and let her carry the hat in her hand. So when Jasmine pick her up, she got the
You got
hat.
the hat.
So yo, like little shit like that. Yo, that should
But
be making.
see, so so then the one moment, right? And you know what? In parenthood, it never this part of parenthood never comes right away, right?
Yeah,
Because especially in the beginning, as you
yeah,
get into these heated battles where it's like, nah, we gonna do it this way, and it's like, nah, we're gonna do it this way, and it's like, well, nah, fuck that, we're not doing it at all. Like, you know what I mean? It gets into those heated battles, and it's a learned craft. Like it's a very craft. It's a craft that never ends.
yeah.
And you kind of get to a point where you kind of go, and I mean, Ashley have had this conversation too. It's like sometimes things may not be done the way you want them to be done, but they're gonna get done at the end of the day. You know what I mean? We're gonna
Yeah.
make it happen. That we kind of get that. We kind of got that understanding about each other now. Like Ashley's a very detailed person. Everything has to be done a certain way. But like she's very black and white.
Yeah.
I'll always say that about her. I love her to death for being. But sometimes it may not go this way. Maybe it goes this way. And you know what I mean? It's very situational. That's why it goes back to me saying about parenthood. It's very situational. Um, you
But
kind of
like you
gotta
always say, you got it done though. You feel me?
you
Like
got
everybody good got it done.
and that's what you gotta kind of build that trust in one another to be able to say, okay, Ashley got it done a way that was a little bit different than the way I wanted it to be done. But you know, at the end of the day, it got done. Why am I even going to waste time on this? I could be focusing on something else. You know what I mean? Instead of focusing on your parent, on the other parent doing something the way you didn't want it to be done. So, like I
Nah,
said,
fact.
it's not a learned craft. But the to get back to the giving over roles that you give the evidence up quick. That's very very smart, yo.
Nah, that shit. Because yo, I'm like, yo, bro, I'm like, yo, I'm hating this hat. And then it's starting to get a little warm. Like it'd be like 50s, low 40s, and she got the jacket on, another jacket. And I'm like, yo, listen, my baby girl not about to mess up this hair. And then I was just like, you know what? I'm about to just bring the hat in the daycare and just give it to her, and that way Tara give her the hat. And Nova, when she comes home, she be having that. Sometimes she doesn't have the hat on. Sometimes she does. So I'll be like, I guess shit worked out today. But that's just one little trick. I'm trying to think about something else that we be doing, or that something that Jasmine always asks me about or some. I'm trying. We kind of pass everything else though. Like with the whole daycare stuff. That's normal. Like everything else, we kind of got like the same intent. I'm trying to think of something that I was doing that Jasmine was like annoyed with or something.
Like think about in the beginning. That's when it's really at all time high because now
Yeah, she definitely. The coat thing was big. Like that was whole thing. Like put a coat on her. I'm like, yo, niggas is just going right here. But now I'm just like, whatever, yo, just put a coat on. Like that shit don't even matter. That's really, yo, that was
swaddling, swaddling. Who was better? Who was? I know we. I was the best swaddler in the house, so that was kind of like a given. I had to
yeah.
break out the teacher bag.
Never really got into that type of issue about swaddling because sometimes she just came out of the swaddle. But I always told Jasmine and I always showed that I would take the action because I had like some men, they never were had a baby in their life, right? I had a
Right.
sister and I had a cousin that I always changed their diapers and I watched them and we grew up together, right?
Right.
So like I already knew that. I already knew how to change a diaper, give showers, all of that shit. Like I've done that to my cousins and my sisters. We're like 7, 8 years apart. So like
Got you.
at that point, I was knowing what to do when I was 7 or 8 years old. So like I always just took the initiative and always told Jasmine like, yo, I know how to do it. And then like after a while, or after the first time, she like, oh, this nigga's too serious. Like he actually know what he's doing. You know what I mean? So I think that kind of settled her mind about like, nah, this nigga ain't scared. And I'm always a baby person. Like my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, they had a baby. Like the first thing I'll do, I'll grab the baby. Like Jasmine and her family, they don't like holding babies when they're young because they feel like they're gonna drop them or something like that. But like I said before, because I had so many little cousins and we grew up together, that was normal. Like, yo, Shane, hold a baby. I'm like, damn, yo. So I was
Yeah.
always, I got four younger sisters, I got four younger cousins that went to Long Reach that I always grew up around them. So I always
So
was holding.
what about? I'm trying to think. I'm just spitballing like different moments where there could be some differences. Uh, uh, bathing,
Yeah,
washing hair.
I think we got a video the first time we took a bath at Nova. Uh, one of Jasmine's friend was videoing us. We were just going back and forth, bickering. about like she's
Okay.
like, Shay, you pouring the what's the name? I'm like, girl, like I'm good.
Okay.
But like
Yeah,
other than
but not too many relationships go out. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool. Like the bickering is like it's cute and it's funny. I'm like get really heated. Like, yo, this is really not. What am I doing that's wrong? Like, no one's. You know what I mean?
exactly, yeah.
You see?
I, yeah, but I think it's also like I think it's also like a intent thing too, man. Like I'm like, yo, whatever, man. Like, ain't no one drowning, man. Like, fall back. You know what I mean?
Always got the intent. That's the thing. We always got the right intent, right? In our mind, we're doing right. We feel like we're putting our best
Oh,
foot forward.
I know one thing that we were big on. It's her sleeping in the bed. That was a huge thing. I was like, yo, we gotta end this, yo. Jasmine's like, like she sleep better in the bed, this, that, and the third. And at a point, y'all was just like, yo, listen, like, I'm being honest, like, you losing me as a husband. I'm being honest. Like, you losing me as a husband, keeping her in the bed. And I remember my buddy he told me something. He was like, yo, you got to get the baby out the bed. And I never understood it. But when Jasmine was bringing the baby in the bed, and I understand it made the baby sleep better. Like Nova slept better because she was in the bed. It was easier. You don't have to get up. She was just right there. But after a certain age, nigga, I built Jasmine's bed back up. Nova got a queen size bed in that joint. I'm like, yo, we sleeping in here. Like, this is it. Like, Shorty is in this bitch. Like, no more
How did
crib.
you how did you do that? How did you sleep with Nova in the bed? Because I always hear mixed like reactions about that. Like how
How
did
did
you
I
like
do it?
prop? Because like some parents are like afraid to like suffocate. You know what I mean? Like with blankets and accidentally rolling over. Like how did you like? Did you like build like a nest for her?
Nah, we just put her in the middle and then put her on top of a pillow, like a pillow on top of her. But the
Oh, okay.
way Nova slept, she will always gravitate towards someone. So you would always know she's
Mm,
on someone. And she's still like that to this day. Like she'll get in the bed with me in the morning, she'll put her foot or hand on me. So like you
just to
kind of
have
know like
touch.
where she is. Yeah,
She's
just to
there.
have touch.
Oh, okay.
So like, but yeah, I was always like Jasmine, she always kind of slept on Jasmine. We always knew where she was because, like I said, it's not like she was one of them babies where like she in the cut getting underneath something. Like she
Yeah,
always.
no, that's because a lot of parents they gonna hear this and they're gonna be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe they did that." And I know for a fact it's gonna happen. So we had to get into further depth, but that's not why we're here with this conversation. Now she's back. There you go, prime example right there, sleeping in the same bed with us.
Yeah,
Right?
that was
You didn't want that to happen. Jasmine didn't happen. You was like, "Fuck this, nah, this ain't happening." She kept, you know what I mean? And then you had to go a different route. You had to physically assert yourself and be like, "No, we're gonna build this bed." She's a queen size bed at the age of fucking 2.5,
not
and
even
she's
two.
gonna
This shit was like one. Like
at
Shorty
one.
good.
You see what I'm saying? Like that's hard for us to like. You know what I mean? So like, you got to bridge that gap. Then talk about the trust thing and like, yo, this is how I should just follow my lead. Not even necessarily follow my lead, just more so just trust me in that I'm
Communicate.
making the yeah.
Yeah, basically communicate your feelings about like why this is affecting you or like in what way. And I was just like, yo, this is just you losing me as a husband. We cannot keep having this baby in the bed. This shit is whack. But
He's like, this shit is whack.
that shit is so
Yeah.
whack, bro. Like that shit was like one of the worst times. And now, man, we're having another issue. Well, actually, it's gotten better. It's actually gotten better because I've been putting Nova to bed sometimes. But yo, after that, Jasmine was sleeping in the bed with Nova.
Oh, so it was like an attachment issue or attachment situation.
I'm like, Shorty, you're wilding. She's like, yo, I keep falling asleep. I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you keep
Women
falling
are
asleep?
women are always good for that, yo. They always got something like, oh, I just was. Well, I didn't mean it. It's not. It's always like not a big. Oh, like yo, we. This is the reason why I did this, so she could be
Yeah,
away from us, and now you going towards her.
yeah. So
Yeah,
we did
that's
that. That was going on for the longest. And then finally, when we went on our honeymoon, Jazz was like, "Yo," I was asking her, like, "Yo, what things can I do as a father?" I'm always asking her that, like, "Yo, what things I can do better?" And she was like, yo, instead of going to the gym all the time, like you could put Nova to bed. And literally, yo, when we got back from that day till now, like I don't even, well, because of basketball, I be gone sometimes. But since that day, like I took the initiative to be like, all right, chill, like I wasn't going to the gym. Niggas was asking me like, yo, where you be at? I'm like, yo, I'm putting my daughter to sleep, yo. So I
That's
started going to the
the
gym
thing, bro.
early. Yeah, yeah. So like I just be telling niggas, I be like, because everyone was asking me like, yo, I don't be seeing you on this day, blah blah blah. Like, yo, I be putting shorty to bed. Like I just that's my thing now. Just started going to the gym earlier, so and that was it. I nipped that shit in the butt because I was like, yo, you going to bed? When I put her down, I ain't falling asleep. I'm gonna get up and then I'm gonna get into bed or I'm gonna go downstairs. Like
Right.
that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
That's
nah,
but that's a good you the way you just said it is the way you structured it was right on par. You know what I mean? You kind of you met the situation head on. You became assertive. You weren't confrontation, but you necessarily was like, I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do to make this adjustment. You made the adjustment. Then it's just started going south again, and then you made the adjustment again. You know what I mean? You
yeah,
came
yeah,
back and you
yeah.
asked that question. So I think up as fathers to sort of you got to find your communication style. Number one, figure out what works. How can you effectively communicate how you feel?
Yeah.
It's not a craft you're gonna pick up tomorrow morning when you wake up. It takes time. But then going into effect of like showing how you communicate, like verbally doing it, setting an example for your children, and then necessarily just and basically just going with, you know what I mean. This parenthood's always gonna be situational. You just got to figure out what's your best intent. Sometimes it's not gonna be the best. What you think is right is not always gonna be right. Even if your dad said on that, but then you address that with your partner. Um, and sometimes you are right, and you be like, "Yo, listen, like I'm proving to you it works, so it shouldn't be an issue anymore." You know.
Yeah. Nah, facts.
But listen, Diaper Dad family, it's been a joy. It's been a pleasure. We love you guys. We will see you guys next week.
Peace.
Love y'all.